NFL fans, what's going on? Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, ready to break down the latest news and rumors around the National Football League. Before I get into today's video, I got to tell you, they just released some brand new camp hats. They're pretty freaking dope. Down below, chatsports.com/camp hat. So what exactly is coming up here on today's video? We're going to talk a little bit about Chandler Jones. I got a crazy idea from ProFootballTalk on Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to wrap up this bad boy with a little discussion around Minkah Fitzpatrick. Let's get into the latest Arizona Cardinals news and rumors, and we're talking about Chandler Jones, one of the most underappreciated, most disrespected players in the league, especially for somebody who's literally coming off a 19-sack season back in 2019. But here's the issue. Jones was not at minicamp, and as soon as that happened, everyone started to freak out a little bit because they're like, oh man, could Jones be looking for a new contract? Could he be on his way out? And now there's already trade rumors starting to swirl around the great edge rusher. He is in the final year of his contract, which is usually why a lot of those rumors start to pop up here and there. Plus, the Cardinals already gave permission to Jordan Hicks to seek a trade. Could Jones be next? I mean, Hicks, he's a great player, over 100 tackles last season. But the reason why I personally think that they gave him the green light to seek a trade, they went out and drafted his replacement in the first round of this past year's draft, Zaven Collins. So let's look at a fun little quote here from Cliff Kingsbury on both Jones and Hicks. And this is the part of the offseason where you get a lot of coach speak, right? We've been in communication with both guys. We know the situations, and I'll leave that dialogue between us. Nothing else to report on that. When you actually hear, though, the way Kingsbury says this, I don't know, man. I feel like I hear a little bit of nervousness in his voice, and I would be too, considering the fact that if you do lose Jones, it's going to hurt your chances of being able to win football games this year. And all the moves that Arizona has made this offseason, bringing in J.J. Watt, getting A.J. Green, the trade for DeAndre Hopkins a season ago, like those are all moves really trying to push forward and compete this season, and you will be a better team if you have Chandler Jones. So again, we're continuing to bring all this stuff up here, and it really started this week when Jones, he showed up to Cardinals Media Day on Monday, then he didn't participate in practice on Tuesday, and now already Kingsbury, and the Cardinals staff, they don't expect him to be at practice on Wednesday or on Thursday. Thus, all of these rumors around the ones, I'd probably put in the top 5 best edge rushers in the National Football League. But what do y'all think? That's what we do here at Chat Sports. We ask questions, and I want every single person that comes across this video here, if you want to go ahead and give it a thumbs up, I definitely would appreciate that. But let me know, should Arizona extend Jones? I want you to type E for extend, or I want you to type D for don't. It's pretty simple. Yes, you keep great players. Now, he might make a lot of money, but if you want to give maybe like a 2-year, $3 million deal, I get that he's 31 years old, but Arizona's doing everything that they want to win right now. And when I show you these numbers here, if this isn't a guy that's going to help you win now, I don't know what is. Is he coming off a year where he had an injury? Sure. But if he's going to play more than 14 games, I am almost willing to bet my Twitter handle that this guy is going to have over 10 sacks. That's very important, especially in a division like the NFC West. But I wouldn't really worry about the Jones trade buzz because this is really only popping up because he's not showing up at practice. He's a veteran player. He knows that he doesn't really need to come. Now, if he starts holding out and really is telling them, I want my money, then that changes up things. However, I'm going to sit here and say I'm not worried about the Jones trade buzz right now. If y'all are looking for more free videos around the NFL, we got you covered here at Chat Sports. We are the most interactive sports show on YouTube, dropping new videos literally every single day. If you want to join our live shows, we go live every single Monday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, but I'm just going to spoiler alert, depends when you watch this. We're not going to be live today because we're going to a Texas Rangers game, man, and I'm freaking hyped. So help us hit 250K subs. We need about, 2,100 and something to get there. No, I think we don't need, 2,185? Yeah? All right, I'm not good at math. Listen to Sam. Hit that big red button that says subscribe. Let's get into the latest drama around Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So you're probably looking at this title seeing Aaron Rodgers going to retire. Wait a minute, Mitch. What did I stumble across this morning? Don't worry. Just sit with me. Hang tight. This idea was brought up by Pro Football Talk Mike Florio, essentially saying if Aaron Rodgers plans to skip mandatory minicamp and plans to get fined, maybe he should just retire from the NFL, and then once minicamp is over, he would just come back. Like, it's kind of an interesting idea. So retirement, it's going to give him greater flexibility to be able to figure out what he wants to do. It's going to be lower financial penalty than just simply holding out. And this is a really interesting conversation because it's not too often you see somebody come off an MVP caliber year where the numbers, they speak for themselves. And I get the fact that he's getting up there in age. The other part about Aaron Rodgers is this. This man has always done what he wants to do, and I believe that he is going to continue to do what he wants to do. So here's some of the NFL rules that Florio goes into, talking about a little bit. The daily fine is $50,000 for missing training camp. If I got fined $50,000 for not showing up to work, I'd be here literally every single day. Luckily for Rodgers, though, he's got enough money in the bank. But for players who aren't operating under a rookie deal, the fines can't be waived. So sometimes you see some of these guys sit out, like a Josh Allen, for example, and then the team would probably just end up waiving that one. But if Rodgers skips training camp, that's going to be up to $2 million. Now, here's the reason that Florio basically went into why Rodgers should retire this upcoming offseason. So it would make more sense for Rodgers to simply retire on the eve of camp then fail to report. If he's planning to stay away for all of camp and beyond, hold out or retire fall of 2021, he loses his $14.7 million salary. Hold out or retire for all of 2021, he loses his $6.8 million roster bonus. Hold out or retire for all of 2021, the Packers would be able to pursue $11.5 million in unearned signing bonuses. Retirement, however, would void the fines for missing training camp. So if you're simply saying, like, hey, I can void all of those fines if I just retire and then come back, I'll tell you what, man, it's a pretty interesting idea, and usually Florio just throws shit at the wall and see if it sticks. I think this one's kind of interesting and it might stick. So what do y'all think here? Should Rodgers retire and then return? I want you to type Y for yes, or I want you to type N for no. My point is, sure. If I'm Rodgers and I'm his team, sure, why not? Like, you can return whenever. If I know I can save money and really stick it to Green Bay because that seems like what Rodgers and his team is trying to do, then you go ahead and do it. I'll also go ahead and say this. As a football fan, as somebody that likes to, cover this literally every day at work, it'd be pretty lame on Rodgers' part, wouldn't it? Like, imagine if players then start retiring when they don't want to go to practice and then come back. As far as I'm concerned, if you retire, you should no longer be a part of that NFL team because we still have all this Andrew Luck conversation, all this Calvin Johnson conversation. If Aaron Rodgers retires, all I'm saying is that would be pretty damn lame. But be honest here. What do you guys think? Should Rodgers – with all this drama going on around Aaron, do you think that he is dividing up the fans? Because there's a fun little quote out there from, I believe it was the CEO or the GM, or the president of the Green Bay Packers, It says, like, he's dividing up the fans. What do y'all think? 1 for yes, or I want you to type 2 for no. He definitely is dividing up the fans. However, this is never something that should be said. Like, if your star player, who you know is not happy with you, you shouldn't really say anything negative about him, especially just come out and say that, yeah, this man is dividing up our fan base. And for the Packers, they do have one of the better fan bases in the league. But at the end of the day, that's not something that you guys should ultimately bring up. If you have any other questions whatsoever, don't be afraid to throw them down in the comments. We got some brand new training camp hats, and I'll tell you what, they're a lot better than the NFL draft hats, so I'm pretty hyped up here. It's the summertime. I don't know about you. If I don't feel like doing my hair, I sweat, it gets all curly, and it gets nasty. Luckily, we got some awesome camp hats available for all 32 teams, and if you can't deal with the sun, luckily I have a halfway decent complexion, but if you look like Tom Downey or if you look like Sam Brown over here, you might want to go out and get one of these bucket hats. Chatsports.com/camp hat. I'm going to put that link in the comments. It's also going to be in the description. Some of the teams also have multiple different kinds of training camp hats. It's hundreds of hats available at this link, but they're not going to last forever. Chatsports.com/camp hat. Minkah Fitzpatrick Holdout, that's going to be the latest that we're talking about here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. The reason why we're taking a deep dive into this conversation, Bleacher Report put out an article, players most likely to hold out. They listed 5 players. One of those dudes was Minkah. He still has 2 years left on his current contract, and when you really think about the impact that he has made for the Steelers team since being traded to the Dolphins, I mean, I really didn't think it was going to work out that well, and it has worked out much better than I believe a lot of people personally that thought it was going to happen. But he's only 24 years old, coming off a year where he had 79 tackles, 4 interceptions, 11 pass breakups. Anytime you hear one of your star players potentially holding out, people are going to start to listen. Now, Bleacher Report also throws out another name of a guy that could potentially hold out, and that would be T.J. Watt, coming off the year with 53 tackles, 15 sacks, 26 tackles for a loss, and 2 forced fumbles. Let's just say Pittsburgh has a difficult decision to make, and they're like, all right, we can only extend one of our good young players. Who would you think it would be? If you think it would be Minkah Fitzpatrick, I want you to type MF. If you think it would be TJ Watt, I want you to go down in the comment section and type TW. As much as I love Minkah and I think that he is a really good football player, no disrespect, it's Watt, and it's really not even close to me. He's a top 5 defensive player in the league right now, and edge rusher is more important than the safety position, and Watt, to me, is just an unreplaceable player. Not that Minkah is replaceable, but Watt is more unreplaceable, so therefore, I am going to go with Watt. But he is coming off back-to-back really stellar seasons, all-pro seasons. That's Minkah, and at the age of 24, maybe you could potentially look at him, getting him on a longer contract, and, trying to keep him in Pittsburgh. However, there's been some rumors around Malik Hooker. There's been some rumors around other safeties out there visiting, the Steelers. Could you see something where, like, all right, we're planning to stick with Watt. If Minkah does decide to hold out, we have at least an option, plan B. Plan B could be somebody like Malik Hooker. So Fitzpatrick, he is going to make $13.3 million over the next 2 years. That is fully guaranteed money. But when you're a former first-round pick, when you have the amount of success that he had, do you potentially look at getting that longer, bigger contract? Because we would agree, right? He's probably one of the better safeties in the National Football League. But what do y'all think here? We're talking about Watt. We're talking about Fitz. Should the Steelers extend Fitzpatrick? I want you to type A for yes, or I want you to go down in the comments section and type B for no. If you are going to type your A for yes, you need to think about how much money it's going to cost him, because I don't know if he's going to make more than what Justin Simmons made this past season, getting that 4-year, $61 million deal. But he is definitely going to be in the top 5 paid safeties per year, even though the cap is a little bit lower this season. But if you do want to get Fitzpatrick to a deal, maybe signing him now would be smarter instead of waiting until the cap rises or waiting until a guy like Jamal Adams signs, because right now I do think that he's a top 5 safety. And for the one time, I'm actually going to agree with PFF here, and they broke down their top 5 safeties this year. As you saw, Justin Simmons, he was the number 1 guy on that list. Some of these names aren't on there yet. Marcus Williams was tagged, but Minkah at age 24, a top 5 safety, obviously has a lot of value, and it's also going to cost a lot of money, probably going to be $15 million per year.